Hello, grade 12s. Welcome back to the channel, Science Therapy, hosted by the one and only science therapist, Uabudewa Sots Ukobela Wemets. And without any further ado, let's look at this question 5 here on tax rebate. So we have 5.1. It says Marius, who is 64 years old. So you have to know that. We know that the age is very important. Then earned an annual taxable income of 551,762 for the 2019-2020 tax year. During the 2019-2020 tax year, Marius was not a member of any medical fund, right? And then Table 7 below shows the tax table for the 2019-2020 tax year, as we can see it below here. And then Table 8 below shows the tax rebates and medical credits for the 2019-2020 tax year, as we can see it. So we are given the primary, secondary, tertiary tax rebate, and then we are given the medical credits per month for the medical fund members, which we can see that Marius is not part of that in the 2019-2020 tax year. Right, and then use Table 7 and Table 8 above to answer the questions that follow. Now, 5.1.1 for only 2 marks says identify which tax bracket Marius falls in based on his taxable income. Then when we go back here, we are given that he earned an annual taxable income of 551,762. So it is already given in terms of the annual taxable income. So that means we have to check the bracket that corresponds to this amount here. So we are given the range in tax bracket number 1, which we can see that the amount that we have is more than that. Looking at table number 2, we can also see that it's greater than that. Table number 3, it's greater than this amount here. But then in table number 4, that's perfect because this amount here falls within the range of 423,301 to 555,600. So it is definitely in tax bracket number 4. So to answer that question below there, we only need to say this belongs in tax bracket number 1. Tax bracket number 4 meant to say. So we need to say tax bracket 4. Right, so that's tax bracket 4. Then 5.1.2 says calculate the amount of tax Marius must pay for the 2019-2020 tax year. And then we are given that for 5 marks. Okay, so now we know that the first thing that we should do there is let's find out the tax bracket. So the tax bracket, we said that it's number 4, right? So in order to calculate that, we have the value here. So we are given the rate of tax. So we must say, since it's in tax bracket number 4, we must say 100,263 plus 36%. So which is 36 over 100 multiplied by the taxable income above 423,300, right? So what is his taxable income? We deduce that his taxable income is up here, and then it was an amount of 551. So we need to say 551,762 because it needs to be 36% of the taxable income above the 423,300. So we need to take this amount that we have here and then subtract the 423,300 because the amount that will be taxed, 36% is the amount that is above 423,300, right? So that means we need to take his taxable income and then subtract this amount here so that we find the amount that is above that from his annual taxable income. Then in order to do that, we have the 100,263 plus 36%, that's 36 over 100. Then let's find the amount, the taxable income that is above that amount. So if we subtract that, this gives us a value of 128,462, right? Then this is the amount that we are going to take 36% from. right? Then let's do the 36 over 100 multiplied by this amount. So that means we can drop down the 100,263, and then we say plus the amount here from saying 36% of that. That gives us 46,246.32. So if you punch that in your calculator, then having to add this, we have an amount of 146,509.32, right? And then this becomes our tax contribution, right? But then remember, this is annual, right? The question that we have here, so this is the annual tax contribution, but then what are they saying? Calculate the amount of tax Marius must pay for the 2019 and then 20 tax year. Note that this is the tax contribution for the whole year if there were no tax rebate. But then Marius, let's go back. Marius is 64 years old, right? So if he is 64 years old, we know that it falls within the primary tax rebate, right? Because this is for people that are 64 years and younger, right? So that means from that annual tax contribution, what is it that we must do? We must take this amount and subtract the tax rebate for primary here. Then, so we have 146,509.32, and now he's gonna get a rebate of 14,220, right? So that's SARS saying that since you are contributing to the economy of the country, let's just give you a discount on your taxes of 14,220, right? And then now he ends up paying an amount of 132,289.32, right? So this becomes his annual tax contribution after we have deducted the tax rebate, right? Or after we have given him a discount on the tax rebate. So that's how you were supposed to solve that one for a total of 5 marks. Right. Then let's proceed. Let's proceed. So make sure that you take this as slowly as possible and then just try to understand the steps that I took into finding that solution there. Now we have 5.1.3. It says Maria stated that if he had been 1 year older, so he is 64, he's stating that if he was 65, he would have saved more than 600 monthly on taxes paid during the 2019-2020 tax year. Verify showing all calculations whether his statement is correct. So now he's saying that if he was 65 years older, he could have saved more than 600 monthly on his taxes. So note what he's counting upon is that if he's 65 years, then he would fall within the secondary tax rebate bracket here. So not only would they subtract 14,220 from his taxes, but they would take out 14,220 and also 7,794. So now he's saying from those tax rebate, he would have saved about 600 more than 600, meant to say he would have saved more than 600 monthly on his taxes. Now, this is a claim from Marius. We need to verify if his statement is correct. So how do we do that? So let's go about that one. So now from the current year, now that is 64 years, we found that he contributes how much? 132,289.32. So this is the previous answer. Remember, this was the annual contribution. Now, if we want to find the monthly contribution in taxes, we need to take this amount divided by 12 because there are 12 months. And then now we find that he's actually contributing an amount of 11,024.11 cents, right, towards taxes every month. So that's the current year. So now, if he was 65, although if he was 65, this is what would happen. From this amount, remember we took the 14,220. If he was 65, that means we also had to subtract the 7,794. So that means a year later, or let's say if he was 65 years, then we would say 1,332,289.32. Then subtract the amount for the secondary tax rebate, then 7,794, and then we would find an amount of 124,495.32. So this would be his annual tax contribution if he was 65 years old, because we would subtract the primary tax rebate and the secondary tax rebate. I hope it makes sense. But then remember, in order to find the monthly contribution, we have to take this amount now and then divide it by 12. Now we find that per month, he would be contributing an amount of 10,374.61. So that's his current monthly contribution towards taxes. And this is the monthly taxes he would be contributing if he was 65 years old. Now let's check how much he would have saved in taxes per month. So in order to find the difference, that's 11,024.11 minus the 10,374.61. Now, if we subtract the two, we find that that's a difference of 649.50. Now, when we go back to read the statement, what did it say? Maria stated that if he had been 1 year older, he would have saved more than 600 monthly on taxes paid during the 2019-2020 tax year. And he is correct, because now we have verified that he would have saved 649.50 cents, right? So that means in conclusion, we say Marius was correct. Right. So that's how you could have went about solving that question there. Then let's proceed. Okay, we have 5.1.4. It says Marius is considering joining a medical fund. He plans to include his wife and 2 grandchildren. Right. So we know that in terms of this, that means Marius here, if he decides to join the medical fund scheme, then that means Marius would be the main member, having a medical credit of 310, and his wife would be the first dependent, also receiving a medical credit of 310. But then the additional dependent, we have 2 grandchildren, which means those are the ones that would have the medical fund credit or the medical credit of 209. So that means in order to find the total monthly medical credit that it will qualify for, we need to say that's 310 for him, that's 310 for his wife. Then we have 209 multiplied by 2 for the additional dependents, which are his 2 grandchildren. Right, then when we calculate that, we find that we have 310 plus 310. That gives us an amount of, that's 620. Then if we say 209 multiplied by 2, we get 418. And then if we have to add that together, we have an amount of 1,038, right? So that would be his monthly medical credits. So he would qualify for a monthly medical credit of 1,038 rands. Right. That's how you could have went about solving that question. So please press the thumbs up button if you have enjoyed this lesson and you have found it helpful. And if you've been watching this videos and you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and press that bell notification button so that you are notified of every video that I post, and then that you are up to date. So with all that being said, take care. Ciao.